from R.T.O here. Hope you're all well on this Thursday. And welcome to the Battle of the Debuts, where we take two bands as usual, look at their debut albums and see which one was better. Today we're doing two bands from my childhood. Excuse me. It's not very good. Not a good start. Okay, so as I was saying, these two bands I grew up on. I love them to death, still do. And of course we're talking about Slade and Sweet. So as ever, we always start with the band that who released their album first. And so today it is Slade. Of course, Slade were formed in 1966 in Wolverhampton. Really big in the glam rock era. Lots of singles, good albums. And they released their debut album, and at the time they were called Ambrose Slade, and the album is called Beginnings. And it was released on the 9th of May 1969. On here we have a Noddy Holder, of course, on lead vocals and rhythm guitar, Dave Hill on the lead guitar, Jim Lee on the bass and violin, Don Powell on the drums. Produced by Roger Wake and the band. First track on here is called Genesis. A great instrumental, but it actually turned into a song called Know Who You Are, of course. And a brilliant guitar work. This just shows how good this band was. Highlights is of course Dave Hill's guitar work, and Don's drumming on this is really, really good. Great track. I like this version, and I like, of course, the vocal version. Next we get a song called Everyone's Next to Me. They didn't write this. It's written by John Kay and Gabriel Melka. Really good track though. Some great bass and Jim Lee, and a nice, really good riff. I don't know if it's Noddy or Dave, but they say it sounds great. Then we get a track called Knocking Nails Into My House, written by someone called Jeff Lynne. Wonder what he's doing now. Just something about the Jeff Lynne track, isn't there? Tell it's Jeff Lynne's work, and it's a great little track from the band. Then the next track is a song by the band themselves, and it's called Roach Daddy. It's already got that Slade sound appearing on this. It's pretty good. Great track. Then we get the first of many covers on this album. So this one is a cover of a Frank Zappa song called Ain't Got No Heart. And I think this is a really good cover of this Frank Zappa song. Very close to the original. Nothing wrong with this one. It's a good song. Then we get a Holder and Lee song called Pity the Mother. Already their partnership is just producing little gems. This is a little bit slower. It's got some nice guitar on electric guitar and acoustic guitar. Great vocal from Noddy. And this is the way they went. You know, we'd get some great rockers and some nice gentle songs. Okay, let's flip the album over to side 2, and we open up with another composition from the band called Mad Dog Cold. The great riffs from Noddy and Dave, a great thumping bass line from Jim, Don's terrific drumming on this. The guitar work from Dave Hill sort of maybe influenced by Hank Marvin, like most guitarists out were at the time. Really, really is a good track. And then we go into a few covers for the rest of the album, but they're all good. So the first one is a track written by Justin Hayward from the Moody Blues called Fly Me High. A different sort of version of this song. This is a little bit more heavier, but it's a good version. I love the song anyway, but Slade's version is really, really good. Next one is a Marvin Gaye song, If This World Were Mine. This is far better. God, this is I didn't mind the original, but this has got a bit more oomph with it, and a great vocal from Noddy. Then we do a Beatles song, Martha My Dear. It's a quirky version of the song. Of all the covers on here, I think this is the weaker one, but it's still not a bad version. And then we get probably one of the great covers done by anybody, and it's Stefan Wolf's Born to Be Wild. Great version they did. It became a firm favourite on stage, which we'll talk about another day. But it's still a great song, and I love their version of it. And the last track again is a cover of Amboy Duke's number, written by the one and only legendary Ted Nugent, and it's Journey to the Centre of the Mind. Great song. Amboy Duke's version is great, terrific song. But I do like the Slade version because it's more heavier, and I think Ted Nugent would have been happy because he'd have probably said, yeah, great version. Okay, what do I think of this album? I love it, even though it's got a lot of covers on it. But you knew this band was going to be big when you listen to it now. It's all the ingredients are there, and I enjoy playing this album even today. When I had it on to do this, I love listening to it. It's just got some great covers. It's just an all-round get up and go album. It's enough of me talking about it. Well, what did the critics think? Now, as most in them days, they didn't have much people saying much. I did find a couple. This is from Lester Bangs, what a name, of Phonograph Record. Described the album as a real dud. What does he know? Because it's not a dud. I don't think it is. And Record Mirror, in a review of the song Genesis, described the album as a fine debut from a band of very substantial talent. Yes. And then later on people wrote about it. This is from 1991, in retrospective of Beginnings by Q, said, it's an odd but pleasant album, which sees the quartet nervously relax in the Small Faces shoes. Dave Thompson from AllMusic feels that the album represents of little of what you'd expect from Slade, although Noddy Holber's vocals are unmistakable. He also said that they well executed the covers to demonstrate the band's music versatility. He said one of the disappointments was Martha My Dear, and I totally agree. Well, as I said, it was one of the weaker. But Beginning stands out as a fine beginning, but things were only going to get a lot better with this band. An album that failed to make the charts, the album charts, and the single didn't do well. So, you see, these days, people would say, right, they're not very good, dump them. That's what I don't like about the record industry today. You've got to make a #1 hit straight away. If they'd have had that years ago, half of the bands we listen to now would have finished years ago. But that's another day for another story. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this one. Song quality. Okay, an album that's got full of covers, all great covers, but the songs they actually wrote are great. So I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. I think that's an even way of doing it. Production, great production. It's got that rawness, it's got that energy. Plug in, go, record. 5 out of 5. Reception, now, didn't chart, didn't do anything, but I think as time's gone on, people have come to appreciate this album a lot. And I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Cover design, yeah, Slade on the front. It's in your face a little bit, which you need. Could have had a little bit more of a background with it. But on the whole, it's a great cover, and I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. So for Ambrose Slade's Beginnings, gives us a total of 15 out of 20. So let's move on to our next band, The Sweet. Of course, formed in 1968. Again, another band that went on to make some great songs. So their debut album came out in November 1971, and it is Funny How Sweet Cocoa Can Be. So on here we have got, of course, Brian Connolly on lead vocals, Steve Priest bass guitar and lead vocals on the second track, Andy Scott on guitars, of course, and the most underrated drummer of the 70s, Mr. Michael Tucker. All did backing vocals because they're all good singers, and this album was produced by Phil Wayman. First track on here was one of the singles, Coco. Oh, Coco, do, do, do. Very Caribbean feel to it. Love the bass line here. One of my favourite tracks on the album. Then we get Chop Chop. Now, great drumming from Mick Tucker as ever, and an interesting vocal from Mr. Priest. He had a great voice. He really... Some of his weird vocals later were fantastic. It's a good track, really good track. Then we get the first of some covers. This one is Reflections, which is a Temptation song, of course, and it's a really good version of it. You wouldn't think this was a Temptation song. They totally put this in what I call the Sweet Machine and made it their own. Brilliant. Then we go back to a track written by the band, Honeysuckle Love. Certainly nice little rock track. That nice riff in it. It's got that T-Rex Roxy music feel to it. Fantastic stuff. Then we get Santa Monica Sunshine. Very nice tune. Very catchy. Then we get another cover. A song by Loving Spoonful, Daydream, written by John Sebastian. And talking of John Sebastian, Slade actually did a cover of a John Sebastian song, of course, Darling, Be Home Soon. It's amazing that the two bands we're talking about today have both done versions of a John Sebastian song, which is pretty cool. He's a great writer. Great song. Love the song anyway. And Sweet do a great version of it. Let's do a thing on Loving Spoonful at some time. Don't know what I'll do. I'll think about that. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent as usual. Okay, flip it over. Side 2 opens up with Funny Funny, one of the classic singles from the early days. Love it. Great, great song. Then we get another cover. Another Nicky Ching, Mike Chapman song from they wrote for another band from Australia called The New World. And this is the Tom Tom Turnaround, which is a great song. It's in my top 10. It was in my top 10 songs that I did with Richard McCook, which we're doing another one on Monday. But I love that song. I love the song, and both bands do this. It's the same all the way through. Brilliant. And we get another sweet song called Genie. A little bit country, but still a pleasant tune. Then we get another cover, and this one's called Sunny Sleeps Late. Now it's from a band called 22nd Street. Band from the 60s, 70s, I'm not quite sure. I've heard the original. It's not too bad, but I prefer the sweet version. Then we get a track called Spotlight. Some phenomenal guitar work here from Andy Scott. What a guitar player Andy was. Great stuff. Then we get my favourite track on the album, the last track. It's called Done Me Wrong Alright. Love the guitar work in this. Great guitar solo from Andy. Great drumming from Mick as ever. Strong vocal from Brian. Brilliant track. What do I think of it? Very good debut album. Again, it's forgotten about now. A good mixture of songs. The covers are brilliant on here again. They do them justice. That's what I think. Now, what are the critics think? Everyone seemed to be more interested in their singles. There is not many reviews of their albums in the early days. It's all about the singles. The album, of course, had 2 singles on it. Funny Funny got to number 13 in 1971 and Coco number 2. It entered the Coco got into the top 100 just in America, but Coco actually reached number 1 in Finland in 1972. It was released in West Germany under the name of Funny Funny, with different songs. Nothing about where it got. It was re-released in 1991 and the album reached number 1 in the Finnish album charts. So there's not much about this album. I looked everywhere. It's got all the other albums, so I think this didn't chart either. It's a good job they didn't ditch him after 1 album, isn't it? We'd have never heard some of these songs. But I do feel with Sweet, people were more interested in their singles and their albums. And their albums are brilliant. As you know, we have done a album ranking on them, and we've done their songs. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this one. Song quality, again, lots of covers, which are excellent, but the songs they wrote are pretty good. When they've started writing their own stuff after they sort of went their separate ways from Chin and Chapman, on their later albums, there's some great songs on there. So I'm going to give song quality 3 out of 5. Once again, production. It's fantastic. You play this album now and it still sounds as good. Nice production on it, so I'm going to give this one 5 out of 5. Reception. Again, it failed to hit the mark. But over the years, it's become more popular. I mean, Finland liked it, didn't it? When their singles, and when they re-released the album in 1991, it got to number 1. So I'm going to give that a 3 out of 5. Cover design. I like the concept of it. I really do, with the suite and that. But the picture of the band in the middle is not big enough. You don't know who the band is. But I'll give it 3 out of 5 for the concept of it. I love the concept of it. So for Funny Funny How Sweet Coco Can Be, we get a grand total of 14. So they just missed out on 1 point. Oh dear. Tough. I don't know. I love them both the same. I can't split these two up today. I don't know. The Slade songs are a lot heavier. Which is, well, but they're both good. I mean, they both had success in the charts as singles. They're one of the 3 great glam bands ever. We got Sweet, Slade and T-Rex, all kings of glam. I'm going to call this a draw personally, because I love both albums. I think this one's going to have to be decided by you, the viewers. I'll put it to on the live stream tonight as the poll, so come and join that. If not, put it in the comments below here, or wherever you watch this, put it in the comments, because I can't split this up. I really can't. I love both albums as much as each other. They are outstanding albums. Okay, that's all for this one. I can't. It's just too hard to predict. I'll be back later with an album artwork, and this week we're doing one of them. Not from looking for my favourite. We're going to go from the best to the worst album cover, and the band we're going to look at album covers are Chrome. Now, Chrome are quite a bizarre band. It was a band that I was introduced to not very long ago. I think they're quite bizarre, but I do appreciate what they do, and it was nice that I got some really nice comments about when I ranked them. So I'm going to look at their covers today, because they've got probably some of the most bizarrest covers in record history. So I'm looking forward to that one. So I will see you for that later. And just a reminder as well, tonight 8 PM British Summer Time, the live stream is back. I'll be back, of course. Mastermind Dave will be back. He's got a few bits he's going to tell you what he's been doing since we've been off air. And of course Rocky will be here, causing havoc and chaos and barking, etc. So join us for that at 8 o'clock, and I will see you later for Chrome. Bye for now.